Let's now look at the images that certain kinds of nouns can create in your reader's mind. And these are instantaneous images. Instant communication by using certain nouns. So on the slide, the first noun is city. And what do we see in our mind's eye when we encounter this noun, city? What about the noun dog? What comes to our mind? And what about car? What comes to your mind when I say the noun car? Well, generally, most of us come up with some general images of cities, dogs, cars from our personal experience, the cities we've been to, the dogs we've owned, the cars we've driven. But let's look at what happens when you upgrade these nouns. I call these weak nouns. Let's upgrade them to another level of detail. What if we have the noun New York? Well, in our mind's eye, most of us have at some point, whether we've not even visited New York, we know what New York looks like from so many pictures, from the big events that have happened in New York City in our lifetimes. We can imagine that city right away. And that's really powerful detail. If you invoke the word New York, there's no explaining you have to do. You do not have to describe New York to your readers. Now, instead of dog, let's say collie. What do we see with collie? Well, this kind of animal, that's very different than the generic dog that we saw on a previous slide. You could put Chihuahua in there, and most people would see that tiny little dog as well. And I'm sure there are a lot of other breeds of dogs that would spark a really strong image in the reader's mind. And then finally, instead of car, what if we invoke the very strong noun Ferrari? Well, right away we see that car, and I think we often see in our mind's eye red Ferraris. That's just the icon of the Ferrari brand is the red car. So those are three examples of how you can upgrade your nouns to something stronger, to create that photographic image, and you want to make pictures with your writing. And strong nouns do that. They add detail, they add pictures, they add images so easily without needing to explain to the reader what the thing or the object or the person looks like. An important kind of strong noun is the name. So certainly in fiction, there are so many great names of famous characters and they stick in our minds. So let's think of some of those. For example, Jay Gatsby, Romeo and Juliet, Pippi Longstocking, Captain Ahab, Harry Potter, Gollum, Big Brother, Lemuel Gulliver, Huck Finn. These are really unique names, and right away they remind us of that story. Maybe we read it as a child, maybe we read it recently, and it also creates a lot of feelings surrounding those characters. So names are very powerful. And make sure that you get names, whether it's fiction, whether you're doing nonfiction, such as journalism, whether you're doing business writing or academic writing even, get names into your sentences. Another way to get nouns into your writing is to appeal to the senses. So in a previous set of lectures, I talked about how verbs can appeal to the 5 human senses, while strong nouns do the same. So on the slide, I've listed some strong nouns categorized by sense. So first we have the sense of sight. And some nouns are like shine, luster, glow, gleam, flash, view. What about the sense of smell? Well, you've got so many in this area. Just a few are stink, stench, odor, aroma, fragrance. How about touch? Well, there's punch, hit, slap, wallop, tap, pressure. For the sense of hearing, you've got nouns like snap, crack, pop, knock, squeal, burp, bang. And these are so much fun to read out loud as I'm telling you these. And then finally, the sense of taste. There's zest, flavor, palate, salt, sugar, nibble. So when you're writing any kind of writing, not just fiction, but also creative nonfiction, even journalism, think about getting some of these senses into your nouns.